Val Kilmer as Jim Morrison. Val Kilmer spent nearly a year preparing to portray Jim Morrison. He watched over 100 hours of concert footage, interviews, studio outtakes, and read Morrison's poetry. He practiced Morrison's vocal patterns for 4 hours a day, recording himself repeatedly to match the singer's phrasing and tone. Kilmer performed nearly half of the film's vocals himself, blending them with original recordings. In blinded tests, surviving Doors members couldn't tell the difference. He lost approximately 15 pounds to match Morrison's lean frame and worked with a movement coach to replicate his stage presence, including specific gestures and walking patterns. On set, Kilmer stayed in character, attending rehearsals, table reads, and even off-camera scenes as Morrison. Crew members reported that Kilmer remained in Morrison's persona for most of the shoot, maintaining the slouched posture, gaze, and similar movements. He later admitted the immersion became difficult to shake, blurring his sense of identity for months after filming. The transformation remains one of the most underappreciated music biopic performances in film history. Rami Malek as Freddie Mercury. Rami Malek spent nearly a year preparing to portray Freddie Mercury. He trained with a choreographer and vocal coach for 5 hours a day, studying Mercury's recordings, stage performances, and interviews. He watched Queen's Live Aid performance frame by frame, breaking down every gesture, posture, and facial expression until he could replicate them precisely. To match Mercury's appearance, Malek wore prosthetic teeth, which altered his jawline and required weeks of practice to speak and sing naturally. The film's vocals blended Malek's voice with Mercury's recordings and singer Mark Martell's uncanny sound-alike performances. Director Bryan Singer was fired mid-shoot. Malek maintained focus, working with replacement director Dexter Fletcher to finish on schedule. His work resulted in the recreation of the Live Aid concert, performed with meticulous attention to timing, energy, and stage presence. The transformation earned him an Academy Award, cementing his portrayal as a benchmark for music biopics. Jamie Foxx as Ray Charles. Jamie Foxx spent 6 months preparing to portray Ray Charles. He trained to play the piano for up to 5 hours a day, learning nearly all the film's pieces himself rather than using a hand double. This included practicing finger positions and improvisation techniques to replicate Charles's style. To simulate blindness, Foxx wore prosthetic eyelids that were glued shut for up to 14 hours a day. He practiced navigating sets and interacting with props without sight, building muscle memory for natural movements. He also studied hours of interviews and live performances to capture Charles's vocal patterns, speech cadence, humor, and improvisational phrasing. Foxx met with Ray Charles before filming, bonding over music. Charles gave his blessing before passing away in June 2004, months before the film's release. On set, Foxx performed all piano sequences live, ensuring the music aligned with both camera angles and the emotional beats of the scenes. The preparation earned Foxx an Academy Award for one of the most celebrated biographical portrayals in modern film. Lou Diamond Phillips as Ritchie Valens. Lou Diamond Phillips spent 4 months preparing to portray Ritchie Valens. While Los Lobos provided the vocals, Phillips learned every chord, strum, and hand movement Valens used on stage to ensure authenticity in his performance. He practiced guitar techniques for 2 to 3 hours daily to replicate Valens' posture and finger work. Phillips also studied Valens' Mexican-American heritage, including accent, cultural mannerisms, and personal history, to accurately convey the character's background and identity. He spent time reviewing interviews, archival footage, and photographs to capture the nuances of Valens' youth and stage presence. Phillips focused on replicating Valens' energy and optimism. He worked closely with the production team to reflect the historical context, including costume accuracy and the recreation of iconic performance spaces. During the film's tragic sequences, Phillips relied on researched accounts of Valens' fear of flying, vulnerability, and emotional depth without over-dramatization. His preparation resulted in a performance praised for its cultural authenticity and respectful representation of the young musician's life and career. Angela Bassett as Tina Turner. Angela Bassett spent 6 months preparing to portray Tina Turner. She followed a rigorous physical training program, including 2 hours of strength and cardio workouts daily, to replicate Turner's stage stamina and muscularity. She also trained in choreography for 4 to 5 hours per day to master Turner's signature stage movements, hair flips, and dance sequences. Though Turner provided the vocals, Bassett's physical exertion had to match the vocal intensity frame by frame. For the film's domestic abuse scenes, Bassett prepared by consulting with psychologists and Turner's autobiographical accounts to understand the emotional and physical trauma without sensationalizing it. Co-star Lawrence Fishburne later stated these sequences were the most emotionally demanding of his career. Bassett rehearsed in Turner's performance outfits, including sequin dresses and boots, to ensure full mobility while retaining visual accuracy. Her dedication resulted in an Academy Award nomination and a performance widely praised for its intensity, nuance, and respect for Turner's life. Joaquin Phoenix spent 8 months preparing to portray Johnny Cash. He learned to play the guitar and perform all the film's songs live, practicing for 4 to 6 hours daily to replicate Cash's signature baritone and strumming style. Unlike many biopics, Walk the Line featured Phoenix's own singing throughout, despite never having sung professionally. He studied hundreds of hours of concert footage, interviews, and archival recordings to understand Cash's posture, hand movements, and subtle expressions during performances. Cash often used the pauses and stillness Cash often used between songs, conveying as much emotion in silence as in performance. Phoenix also researched Cash's personal struggles, including addiction, grief, and his complex relationship with faith, to bring authenticity to the dramatic and emotional scenes. He later admitted the role pushed him to emotional exhaustion. His commitment to live performance, technical accuracy, and emotional depth resulted in an Academy Award nomination and a portrayal widely regarded as one of the gold standards for music biopics. Taron Egerton as Elton John. Taron Egerton spent approximately 6 months preparing to portray Elton John. He trained on piano for 4 to 5 hours daily, learning every song he performed in the film, including correct hand positions, timing, and finger movements. Egerton worked extensively to match the tonal quality, phrasing, and range of Elton John's voice without relying on dubbing for the majority of the songs. For the film's more flamboyant sequences, he rehearsed choreography and movements for 2 to 3 hours daily, adapting to oversized costumes, wigs, and performance props. He spent time with Elton John himself to study personal anecdotes, emotional triggers, and the singer's mannerisms offstage, giving insight into the character's loneliness, struggles with addiction, and pursuit of acceptance. The film blurred fantasy and reality, requiring Egerton to transition between grounded drama and theatrical musical sequences. His preparation resulted in a Golden Globe win for a performance that balanced technical precision, emotional depth, and the theatricality central to Elton John's persona. Austin Butler as Elvis Presley. Austin Butler spent over 2 years preparing to portray Elvis Presley. He trained daily with vocal coaches and movement specialists to replicate Presley's singing style, speech patterns, and iconic dance moves. Butler also underwent physical training to match Elvis's physique at different stages of his career, including muscle building and weight management. He studied hundreds of hours of concert footage, interviews, and behind-the-scenes material to understand Presley's stage presence, facial expressions, and body language. Early rockabilly tracks were performed by Butler himself, while later performances blended his voice with archival Elvis recordings. He replicated Presley's signature hip swings, footwork, and gestures through daily choreography sessions. Butler also worked with costume and makeup teams to recreate Elvis's evolving appearance, from young performer to Las Vegas icon, including wigs, period-accurate clothing, and prosthetics. He maintained Presley's accent off-camera for months after filming Wrapped. He spent significant time learning the subtleties of Presley's personal life, including his struggles with fame, isolation, and health issues, to portray the emotional complexity behind the public persona. The resulting performance earned Butler a Golden Globe and an Academy Award